Latinos, you need to do better. We need to do better. Latinos, we need to step up.
I want to talk about this post that I saw because I saw way too many people that chose to be defensive instead of take accountability. But you know what's interesting? From every response that I saw, nobody sounded surprised. They just wanted to deflect. What about what the black community is doing right now? What about the attack on street vendors? What about the one black person that was mean to my family member? All of those are real issues, but the people that are creating harm do not represent the entire black community. Just like the problematic Latinos don't represent all of ours. We can ask for accountability together, and we should 100% expect members of our community to do better.
In this video, Latinos admit that there is racism and colorism in the Latino community. So let's watch these videos as these Latinos call out their fellow Latinos for being racist or colorist in their community. Then we'll come back here and discuss further about it. But before we watch the videos, if you haven't yet liked this video, kindly like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Let's watch the videos together.
Latinos are racist. They are racist. Whether you like it or not, and whether you are one of those racist Trump-supporting Latinos, you're a fucking racist. I can't really tell you why Latinos are racist. It differs from every different family, honestly, but the root cause is the Europeans. They did that to divide Latinos and the black community and every other community that's out there, and it's embedded in the Latino community's mind. Some Latino families strictly want just Latino kids, grandkids, and so forth. They don't want anything else being mixed into it. In order for Latinos and the black community to come together and to unite, Latinos need to fix the anti-blackness.
Can we just talk about the anti-blackness that exists in the Latino community? Because it's a real thing. And it is only further perpetuating the division between our two communities and contributing to the overall oppression of our two communities. And I know there's going to be some people out there that's like, that's not even a thing. That's not a real issue. But it is. I grew up hearing freaking racist remarks made towards black people. And I heard it often. And I know so many other people did. And not only is it about anti-blackness, it's also about internalized racism that some Latinos, including myself when I was a child, felt the need to be white because I saw white people being treated better. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if I'm white, or if I consider myself white, or if I tell people that I'm white, then I am going to be treated better. I didn't understand as a child why I even felt that, but we are socialized as a society to want that unless you break out of the freaking matrix and you realize, oh my gosh, we're all being oppressed by the same freaking systems. So for us to have division and for there to be anti-blackness in our community is not helping anyone. One, it's just wrong, but two, it's only further perpetuating the oppression that already exists in our freaking society. So there's that part. And then there's this whole dismissal of Afro-Latinos because Afro-Latinos exist, yet sometimes are classified as not Latino, when in reality, they are Latinos, Afro-Latinos. And then there's this whole freaking connection to where we find ourselves in American history, okay? And the fact that many people, many Latinos, Latino men in particular, did not want to vote for a black and Asian, but a black woman, okay? And then there's the intersection of machismo, internalized racism, anti-blackness, and all of it contributing, again, to the further perpetuation of oppression of our communities. That's what I need people to understand. When there's division between our two communities, that is purposeful, okay? Because these systems, these people in power want us to be infighting, when in reality, there's a lot more that we have in common. We are also being oppressed by the same systems. We should be supporting each other. And it is because of black people and their advocacy that we, as Latinos and other communities, have the civil rights that we have today. The ability for us to even be able to have that privilege was in large due part to black people, okay? So I need us to understand that. And I need us to have a conversation about that, because even if we were brought up that way, that doesn't mean that we can't change. That doesn't mean that we can't do better, because we can. Okay? Even if society socializes to believe that we can change, we can do better.
And this starts with us. the younger generation. We need to call out our elders, our tios, our tias, our abuelos, our abuelas, our older cousins, what the fuck ever. We need to call them out. And this also goes for the Latinos who are racist towards the Asian community. There are 48 Asian countries, and Latinos have one word for all of them, and it's Chino. My fiance is Vietnamese Cambodian, and whenever I speak to my family, they always ask, oh, ¿cómo está el chinito? And I understand it comes from more of like a loving type of sense, but at the same time, we can't excuse that. Even if it comes off, lovingly or just silly. It's a serious situation, and it's not something that we can just lightly throw around. And I do want to talk about some Latino activists that were there during the civil rights and were right there next to the Black community. So for example, this activist actually died in January, and his name is Jose Chacha Jimenez, and he actually helped found the Young Lords with the Black Panthers. Another person would have to be Gilberto Herena Valentin, who was actually the president during that time of the Puerto Rican Day Parade. And Martin Luther King Jr. personally called him to help him bring the Latino community to the March on Washington. What I'm trying to say with all of this is, Latinos, you need to do better. We need to do better. Latinos, we need to step up. We need to actually confront our people with how they speak towards other communities. And another thing, Latinos need to stop being racist towards other Latinos, okay? Unacceptable. This message honestly goes towards all Latinos, whether you voted for Kamala or whether you're a fucking racist Trump supporter. You need to do better, and people need to call you out. And that's how it's supposed to be from now on.
Okay, so there's a lot of discourse right now around Latino content creators, Latino influencers that are choosing to stay silent during this time as our community is being targeted, as our community is being attacked. And I have to be honest and say that I am not surprised. And I'm not surprised for multiple reasons, which I want to go ahead and share with you. Leading up to November and what happened, I saw a lot of Latinos pop up and support him. A lot of Latinos say things like, well, my family came here legally, so everyone else should. I saw a lot of Latinos say things like, well, they're only targeting the criminals. When now you're hearing about reports of multiple people being rounded up or at least questioned that are not even criminals. You can look that up for yourself. I also heard of a lot of Latinos frankly just outright saying things like it doesn't matter. That it doesn't matter to them because it's not impacting them. And that, y'all, is rooted in privilege. The ability to not care, or the choice, frankly, to not care about another group, especially of a marginalized group that is hurting, the ability to not care because it doesn't impact you, the ability to not care how the results went because it doesn't impact you, or you think it doesn't impact you, because we'll get there. There's privilege there. But what I also want to go ahead and mention, why I'm also not surprised that things went in this direction and now we find ourselves here. And now Latinos are like, oh my gosh, what? I didn't think that this would happen. Girl, bye. Like we knew, and we tried to warn you, but here we are. Latinos, we have an anti-blackness issue in our community. I grew up with it. I grew up with family members who were not friendly towards black people or said things around darkness or blackness. There's machismo in our community that is still very rampant. This need to dominate over women. So machismo, racism, the disinformation and misinformation that is an issue in our community. So all of that together, I knew, and I said this months ago, that it would lead to, or it could lead to, people not voting for her. And here we freaking are, okay? So I'm not surprised. And also internalized racism, the proximity or the need to feel like you want to be white, even though you will never be white. Never. It won't be a thing. All that comes together and you have what we're going through now. So I'm not surprised.
This idea that black people have to earn their way out of racism is completely backwards. So I understand you as saying that if, as the result of the actions of some people, a group has acquired the reputation for harming other people, then the negative attitudes and treatment the entire group receives is understandable and justified. And what's more, if that group wants those negative attitudes and treatments to change, they have to do better. I highly suggest that you re-examine this belief in light of the fact that at the point at which Europeans labeled black people black, and by extension labeled themselves white, they are the ones who proceeded to loot, kill, and grape their way around 84% of the world for centuries. Because I don't think you feel that it would justify if people of the global majority were to treat white people the way that white people have treated black people, and maybe consider yourself lucky that we don't. Now, with respect to these black crime rates that people like you so love to inflate, if racism were to cease to exist today, those crime rates would automatically and instantly drop, because we wouldn't have innocent black people being arrested and incarcerated for nothing, and we wouldn't have black people being arrested and incarcerated for infractions that white people get away with all the time. But also, if you systematically oppress a group of people for centuries, it will create negative behaviors, and it shows the infinite grace of black people that it hasn't created more. And what's more, the people that it harms the most are black people themselves. So if you want these crime rates to drop, it is racism that has to cease to exist first.
Avengers!
So I was reading some of the comments on that video that I posted about the Hispanic woman who talked about how black people weren't there for them as they were for us. And I just want to say, I don't want to confuse anybody, but I do not condone bigotry or racism of any kind. As I have said countless times before, these verbal hands do not discriminate. They rated E for everybody. Anybody can get it. And you get some people who say, because I am black, oh, well, you know, black people did this too. And I call them out too. It don't matter. They don't get exceptions either. Trust me, my block list and the list of people that have gotten this verbal work is very, very diverse. It's a melting pot. Look, I get it. It's going to be a long 4 years. That being said, we all got to share this planet together, whether we like it or not. I do not condone hateful comments from anybody, period. And from day one, when I came on this app, I have always called everybody out, and even in my personal life. Here's the thing, if y'all willing to stand with me and we can go fight against this nonsense that they're trying to do together, let's do it. But if y'all want to sit there and fight and argue, go ahead. But at the end of the day, we have to go and have these conversations for people to understand each other, whether you like it or not. That's all I got to say.
Welcome back. So in this video, Latinos admit that there is racism in the Latino community. Now, there is one thing that cannot be hidden, and that is truth. Truth can never be hidden. So it is now revealed that some Latinos are racist towards other Latinos and black people. Some Latino parents advise their children not to be friends with black people. Why should you indoctrinate your child at a very tender age in order for your child to avoid black people? Now, the media also portrays white Latinos to be educated, rich, and successful, whereas that of Afro Latinos, they are portrayed to be poor, uneducated, and criminals. Why is all this happening? I believe that this is happening because of colonization and the idea of white supremacy that is creating all these problems among the Latino community and other communities in the world. Now, the white supremacists or imperialists embedded in our minds and in our brains that everything white is superior, whereas everything black is inferior. So a lot of black people feel inferior about themselves, and even some people do not want to admit that they are even black or even associate themselves with black people. This phrase is popular among Dominicans. There are some Dominicans who say, "I'm not black, I am Dominican. I'm not black, I am Dominican." But some Dominicans are black people. The white imperialists taught us that everything black is inferior, whereas everything white is superior. And we have held on to this idea for far too long that I believe that it is time that we let this idea die off. There has been a lot of negative stereotypes that has been attributed to black people, certain traits and characteristics that has been attributed to black people, which in most instances is not necessarily true. For instance, stating that all black people are aggressive, all black people are lazy, all these statements are not true. There are individual characteristics among black people, just as there are individual characteristics among white people. Now, the white colonialists used the divide and conquer approach in order to conquer black people around the world, enslave us for 400 years, and used us to build their country. And now they have set us against ourselves. We need to liberate ourselves from this mental fog that the white supremacist has put on us. Now, earlier in this video, this Latino man made a statement, and I think I really like the statement. He says that being racist towards black people will not take you close to whiteness. Now, there are white Latinos who always act racist towards Afro-Latinos and black people, and they think that will make them get close to whiteness. It is never so. They think their proximity to whiteness will be enhanced if they are racist towards black people. It is never so. So all through it all, they have called us the minority groups because we are divided among ourselves. But if all these groups, black Americans, Afro-Latinos, white Latinos, Hispanics, Mexicans, all these minority groups in the United States of America, if we all come together, we will become the majority and not the minority. Share your general thoughts and opinion about this video in the comment section below. And also don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family on other social media platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and other social media platforms. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just click the subscribe button down here. Click on the subscribe button. Click as well on the notification bell. And I'd like to see you again in my next video.